And I just think about how many women, with a calm exterior are walking the world with that feeling inside, right? Like, and I feel like it's more than I would like to acknowledge and imagine. And so I feel like the film did a really good job of like portraying that inner struggle and inner distress that goes on in a lot of women who've been assaulted that we don't know from the outset, and how much of our like maybe erratic or stereotypical female behavior comes from the fear of having been violated before, right? So that was just a thought that I want to get out there. And then I have to say, like something you said. So after I had my first baby, I was completely dependent on my husband, right? Or whomever was there to help me. It was a very scary feeling because I'm a very independent woman. And I realized, like, I couldn't work for a little while, right? Like I couldn't, I had to feed a baby and stay up all hours of the night and all these things. Like I couldn't, if my husband disappears, like how would I pay the bills, right? Like so it was the first time I really understood how vulnerable women are, really and truly. Um, and I'm still like not happy about that, right? Because like we don't like in America, we don't have a social network, social system that like supports women after they've had children, like pretty much at all. And how like unfair that is because it's the next generation, it's the future like economic drivers and it's the future, right? So like it's almost like we're penalized for being the ones to have the kids, even though it's exactly what we need in order to continue humanity. And then the other thing I was thinking about how one time my mom used, to be crass, like he's such a pussy or whatever. And I was like, Mom, like that is the most powerful thing in the world. Like, are you calling him powerful? I would call him like some, like ballless instead, or something like that. Because like the female like reproductive organs are like the most like godlike things we have on earth, right? Like they give birth, what they have to do in order to bring a human out into the world. It's like it's mind-boggling, right? So it's so funny to me that it's just a trick, right? Like the most powerful thing on earth is being like diminished. And it's been like the definition has been like switched up, which it just makes no sense to me. But we just get into habits in society and we just repeat things that we hear, and all of a sudden that's what, you repeat a lie enough, it becomes a truth, right? So it's the same thing. We've had lies repeated about women so much that they're just taken as truths, even though like the reality of the situation is very different. Women are not weak and feeble and helpless damsels in distress. They are resourceful, they are thoughtful, they are creative, they have to be thinking about things in different ways because as we talked about, like 60%, 61% of women don't feel safe walking through the street. So how are they going to walk through the street with that vulnerability? When you don't walk through the street with vulnerability, you actually are maybe getting a little like you know, weaker, I would say. Like if you don't have to think so much about how you move in the world, then your intuitive self is becoming dulled down, right? So you might not be prepared for the attack or something like that. But when women are constantly prepared for something, and so they're able to step up in the most craziest of situations, right? And that's what we see throughout the world.